All right, let's talk about my favorite part of graphing, which is plotting points. So we know we have a graph here. We know on our graph we've got an x-axis and a y-axis. We know that there's a positive part for each of the x and the y, and there's a negative part for each the x and the y. The center is called the origin, and it is 0 for both of them. So when we draw a graph, we always start with our x and our y-axis. Then we're going to look at our coordinate points. Coordinate points are always written within brackets, and they are always written as x, comma, y. The x always represents how far you're going to go to either the left or the right. We move towards the right if we have a positive number, and we move towards the left if we have a negative number. The y represents how far up or down we are going to go. If we are going to go up, it's because there's a positive y, and if we're going to go down, it's because there's a negative y. So let's see what this looks like. Let's say we have the point 1, 4. What that's telling us is that the 1 is our x and the 4 is our y. So we always start in the very center of the graph for every coordinate. We're going to go over to the 1 on the x. So if I go to the left, I'm getting into the negative numbers, but I need a positive number. So I'm going to go right. From there, I'm going to go to my y value of 4. So I'm going to follow this line up to the 4 on the y, and I'm going to plot my point right there. Let's try another one. What if I give you a coordinate of -2, 3? This time, I'm going to start again in the middle of the graph at the origin, and I'm going to go along the x-axis to the -2. So that means I'm going to go to the left. Now I'm going to go up to 3, and I see it right here, and I'm going to plot my point right there at -2, 3. -2, comma, 3. You always have to put a comma in between so you know where you're talking about. You also need to make sure you use rounded brackets and not square brackets or squiggly brackets or anything. They need to be the rounded brackets. Let's try another one. What if we talk about the coordinate -5, comma, -2. In that case, we're going back to the origin. We're going to go over to -5 because we know we go to the left for negative x's. And this time we're going to go down to -2, and we're going to plot our point right there. How about the point that's at 5, -5? Same thing as before, back to the origin, over to the right to 5, and down to -5. You always have to be really careful to double check, and you can plot your coordinate again. Now there's one other type I want to talk about that's a little bit tricky. What about this? What if we have 0, 4? What does that mean? So don't let this confuse you. Start at the origin, and it's saying our x is 0. So do I need to go right or left? Nope, I'm going to stay right here. I'm not going to go right or left at all. I'm just going to go up to the 4, and I'm going to plot a point right there on the y-axis. I can do that too for the exact opposite. Let's say we've got -7, 0. Back to the origin, I'm going to go over to -7, but I have a 0 for my y. So am I going to go up or down? Nope, I'm going to stay right there, right on the x-axis, and plot my point. Now, the last thing we need to talk about is, can you see how there's 4 very clear squares on this graph? Those have names. We call them quadrants instead of squares. In the area that's the top right corner, we call quadrant 1. And we usually write that 1 as a Roman numeral. This, you'll notice, has all of the positive x's and all of the positive y's. So to get into quadrant 1, you have to have positive x's and positive y's. So it's a very popular quadrant. Quadrant 2 is over here, and you can see that it's got negative x's and positive y's. So all the coordinates in that area have negative x's and positive y's. You guessed it, quadrant 3 is down here, and quadrant 3 is negative x's and negative y's. So that's Q3. And then last but not least, we have quadrant 4 down here. Do you remember how to write a 4 with a Roman numeral? It's an IV. That means 1 less than 5. So quadrant 5 is down here, and it also has positive x's with negative y's. So they're all a little different. They're all equally important. So as a quick recap, here's our graph. Our coordinate is written as an x comma y with round brackets. You always start at the origin. The x value tells you to go either right or left, and after that, you go up or down to the y. So x and y are in alphabetical order, left and right. Makes sense that we always move towards the x, and then we go up or down to find our y, and then plot your point. That's it.